Hello and welcome to another 23 chairs video. In this video I'm going to be renovating this chair. It needs to be completely reupholstered and the wood needs a little bit of refinishing too. So to start off with, I'm just going to remove all the old upholstery, starting with these tacks. So as I remove the old upholstery, I'm just also having a look at how it's been constructed, how it's all been put together, so I can decide what to replicate, what to replace, and what to do differently as I go. And you can probably see there that there are some quite big cat scratches on that piece of foam. That's actually the inside of the chair, so there's only a couple of inches gap between those two bars you can see there on the back. So at some point a kitten, it must have been a kitten, has climbed inside that chair and really scratched it up. I'm being extra careful here as I remove these pieces of fabric because I'm actually going to use those as templates for the replacements. So just trying to take the staples out very carefully rather than just ripping the fabric, and I've put those to one side for later. So now I'm just going to work on the parts of the wooden frame that are going to be visible once it's been reupholstered. It's going to be sanded all over with 2 or 3 grits, starting with quite a fine paper and working to a really super fine to get it really nice and silky smooth. Now I'm just rubbing on a couple of coats of teak oil. That will protect the wood, give it a nice satin finish, but it won't make it too yellow like some protective oils can do. So these are just some rubber bands. They're shop bought, they're pre-made. They just slot into 2 grooves down either side of the seat. Those are just a like-for-like replacement of what was there before. The back panel also had rubber strapping on before. It actually lost some of its stretch. It wasn't faring very well under there, so I've decided to replace that with this jute webbing. It's also quite a lot thicker, so I think it'll be better as far as holding the shape in the final chair. So almost finished for now, but I did actually go back and add an extra strap, which you can see here in that curved area, just again to help keep the shape as nice as possible in the final chair. Next step is cutting the replacement foam to shape, and that's just trial and error, hold it up to the shape, mark where I need to trim it, and do that again and again and again. And now I've got the shape just right. I'm just going around the edges with some spray adhesive that will just hold it in place, so in the final chair it won't slip around at all. Now onto the reupholstering part. So I'm just laying down the original piece of fabric on a layer of calico, and then I'm just going to pin that down, cut round it before attaching it to the chair, so just using that as a template to make life a bit easier really. So now here's the foam for the seat cushion. Just needs shaping a little bit, and it's a little bit too long, so that's just going to get a trim done in a similar way to the way I did the back. So just marking where it needs to be trimmed and then cutting. And obviously, what better to cut foam than a bread knife? Seriously though, the serrated blade makes it really one of the easiest things to use. And I'll just trim up the scruffy bits with some nice sharp scissors. Sorry that most of this is out of shot, but every now and again you will get a glimpse of my fabulous new vintage upholstery scissors, which are so massive they make me look like a borrower. As usual, just popping a layer of wadding over the foam before upholstering it. It just softens those sharp corners and gives everything a lot more of a cosy feel. The cover that goes on this cushion is going to be removable, the final cover, but I am just going to put a layer of calico again, which is going to be stitched in place. I don't seem to have the footage of me stitching it, but it wasn't that interesting. You get the idea. I wrapped it round, I stitched it. So here's the fabric for the final finish. It's a lovely silver birch pattern in sort of shades of grey and mustard. Really nice fabric. So the first job here is just cutting the pieces of fabric that I need to make up the cushion cover. And now over to the sewing machine we go. Just starting off by hemming the two ends of the fabric. This is going to be an envelope style cushion cover, so quite a simple cushion cover to make. Just need to make sure those hems are secure so it looks neat and tidy. So now I'm just going to pin those pieces of fabric together around the cushion to get the right shape. So I started with the fabric the right side out and just pinned one corner, That was just so I could make sure that the pattern looked like it was lining up straight and not kind of bending off all over the place, so that when I turn it inside out I can just get on with pinning it without having to worry about the pattern. And now back to the sewing machine to just sew over all of those seams that I've just pinned. So after a little trim around all the seams to just get rid of some of that excess material, the cushion cover is done. Hooray! And now it's time to do the back, which is fixed. So this is going to be stapled in place and tacked. So first job is just to make sure that the pattern lines up nicely. I'm going to match it to the cushion. So you can see there that it looks like the pattern is continuous from the cushion up to the back. So here we're just removing the handles. That will just allow me to go straight round with the fabric rather than having to fold it around like I did with the calico. It's just going to give it a lot more of a neat finish around the edges. So I decided quite early on that what this chair really needed was a couple of buttons. Where the chair goes in underneath that bulge headrest area, it was never going to get the definition without something to pull it in. So I thought the best thing to do would be to make a couple of pattern matched fabric buttons. So first job is just lining up the fabric. I've pinned that piece of fabric in place so that I can then just draw circles where I think the buttons should be, just measuring them to make sure they're even, level up and down and side to side. So here I'm just going around the edge with some pinking scissors to stop the fabric from fraying. And now I'm popping some embroidery threads through the buttonholes before I start. I won't be able to get to those holes once the fabric is over the button, and I need that thread there to attach it to the chair. So Now I'm just sewing a quick running stitch around the edge of the fabric. There's a little piece of wadding there again, just to give it a slightly softer feel. Just checking I've got the pattern lined up, that's where I went just then. And then I just pull that piece of thread tight that I did the running stitch with, and that gives me a little fabric button. So now I'm taking those embroidery threads and I'm threading them onto a strap that I've attached to the back. That was an extra one that I added when I decided I wanted to add the buttons. And there's the view of what I'm doing from the back. So now I just get those even and tight and then tie them off. So here's the last piece going on. This has been pinned in place, sort of pulled tight, pulled straight, and then upholstery tacked into place for a nice decorative finish. The majority of the footage you were just staring at my backside because I was trying to get the right angle, so that's why there's not much footage of that. And here's the finished chair. Really pleased with how this came out. I think it looks really smart. Very glad I added those buttons. They just add something to the shape and make it look really nice. This one was a commission and my client was very happy too, so all good. Follow me on Instagram for sneak peeks of all my latest projects, and if you're looking for a piece of vintage furniture yourself, you can visit the 23 Chairs shop. Just follow the links in the description. Thanks for watching.